Well, yes, I recorded this in London, and I was on another time zone, so uh, that's another place and another time. Also, there's a cut on the album called Another Place and Time, which is a love song, and we just felt that it fit the package, it fit the idea of the album. Yeah. Well, it's really funny. About a year and a half ago, I was in Europe, and my husband said to me, "These guys, you should work with these guys." And I didn't really know who they were at the time. And then I guess it was last year, the year before last, I was in Europe again, and I heard Rick Astley, and he was great, and I really loved his production. And then my record company came to me and said, "Look, we'd like for you to work with the guys that did Rick Astley." And I said, "Oh, great, I love him." So we met up, and I went to London, and we hit it off immediately, and it worked out. There's a logical reason for that. I think that these guys, before they really started producing records, they were a top 40s band. And so they have a real good sense of music, of popular music, and they probably could play anything that was ever on the charts. So they really have a good handle on what the taste of the people is. Actually, when I first went in, the first day they had a track, and I said, "Okay, let's see how we work together, and let's try to write this." And they work a little differently than me, and but we worked on the first cut, which is a song that's coming out now, and it went very well. And then I got busy doing a couple of other things, and they wrote a couple of songs, and then I came back and I wrote another, I think 2 songs, co-wrote another 2 songs with them. And so I think it worked out. And I gave them the title to one, which is the last cut, which is Love's About to Change My Heart, and then they went and wrote the songs. Um, well, let me put it like this. I think that their modus operandi is probably the most important thing that they have going for them in a structural sense. They have a vision, and their vision cannot be completed if it's dissipated by a lot of other people's ideas. And so I think whenever a person has a vision, they have to see to it that the people they employ see their vision too. And so in that sense, I don't think it's dictatorial. I think it's just a portion of their vision, and they don't allow anyone to detract from their vision. I think they're right. No, I think that it was a collaboration. I think they have a good sense of who I am. They have a good sense of the market, and they know what my career has been. They know the type of records I've sold and what type of market that is. They are very well advised in the popular market, as far as the charts are concerned. And so I feel very secure with them. I didn't feel like they didn't know what they were doing at any time. It's like a factory over there. They work. They are not playing. They mean business, those guys. And so I have to take my hat off to them. They're very creative and very on the case. Yeah, it is. I mean, actually, I think they have like 3 shifts there. Somebody is always working in the building at all times. And they kind of have Motown records as their pattern, only with some better ethics perhaps for the artist. And they're very diligent. So um, it's a real interesting concept. There are artists going in and out constantly all day, and anyone that wants to be on their record label or be produced by them has to generally go in, if they're unknown, as a helper in the office, so that they get to see what it takes to be a star, and that it isn't all themselves and all their own ego, and that it takes a lot of people working towards one dream. Well, I think they're on the mark. I think that it sounds like when they say the old Donna summer. I hope it doesn't sound like an old record, but I mean, I don't think that it does. I think that it sounds like what people think of me as, which is a danceable, up, happy person. And I think that people have an opinion of me, and only judging from the way that people respond to me generally in public, that people will walk over to me and hug me, and they'll just, with no restraint. They are very affectionate. They're very open generally, and they feel like they know me. They're patting me on my back. It's very funny at times, and I've learned to pretty much deal with that. They feel like I've been in their bedroom, I've been in their kitchen, and I've been someone who represents happiness to them. And so, in that sense, I guess it's does represent the old me. I never lost sight of it. I think that everyone, whether you're a writer, a director, I think everyone has a need to do something different and or differently. You get bored. You just get bored after a while. And okay, how many dance tunes can you make? And you want to sing a ballad. You want to sing some rock and roll. The voice is an instrument, and oftentimes the way that our structure of music is operated, we're not allowed to really be instruments. We're just allowed to do what we do and within a restricted area. And I don't necessarily think that that's fair, because I think that I could be a pretty good, really hard rock and roll singer, as well as a good classical singer and gospel singer and jazz singer. I mean, my voice is my voice, and that's just a tool. It's like a lot of times, singers will start out as singers and wind up actors later, and vice versa even. But I just think that it's human nature. I just think you have to explore. You're only given one life, and even though sometimes things don't pay off in a commercial sense as much as other things, it still doesn't mean you shouldn't do them. Why didn't I not write whole songs on this record? Well, I wrote. They're good musically. They have, I go with what is going on. I mean, if the producer is able to write, I'm very happy to write with them. I was in London and I was pretty jet lagged, and the mind only functions so much, and I didn't feel like I needed the excess stress. So I did co-write about 3 songs with them. Love's About to Change Your Heart, I gave them the title to, and let me see. I think I wrote a song called Sentimental with them, and one other one I wrote alone. I wrote the lyrics alone, called what was that song? Whatever Your Heart Desires. I wrote the lyrics, and they had written the music. It's easier, basically. It's just easier. It's less pressure. And if you like what they're giving you, why should you want what? You always have to go for what is best for the record, not what is best for my ego at this point. And pool all the energies together and come up with what is best. I don't know. Some people would think that I don't work hard enough. No, I think that I work best when I have the excitement for something. I don't personally think that things get better and better and better and better with age and age and age. I think for some people they do. I think that when you lock into the way that you want to do something, you should do it and get it over with. Yeah, I guess it is. You always want to make it better, but someone like Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones. I know that Quincy does things he'll do something 6,000 times to get the best one, and that's torture to me. Because that's just not the way that I'm used to working. For example, a Giorgio Moroder would work if it's the first take and it comes out the way he perceives it should be. That's the one he keeps, and that's how I feel basically. Well, I worked with David Howells, who is the sort of the person that takes care of all of the production and hiring and the business end of Stock Aitken and Waterman, PWL. And he thought D would be good. And so I sort of connected with him over the phone and over my fax machine. And he sent me some write-ups. I spoke to him on the phone, and I just, when I heard his voice, I felt like I liked him. I think that's always a big part of it. I liked his work. He did Climby Fisher. He did the Jermaine Stewart record. And I really like the softness and the sensitivity that I felt that he has. And so I decided to give him a try. Well, the plot is usually a collaboration of where do we think we're going with this. And, then they'll finally pull it all together. They have their own, people that do that. I like the production end of it. I don't like waiting, and I don't like, I really don't like having people look at me like that all the time. Just when you're working and you're standing there and you have to do things over and over again, it's embarrassing to me. I feel I'm self-conscious about it. It feels like, I don't know, embarrassing, I think. I mean, it's something you do, it's part of what you have to do, but I think ultimately I really don't like that aspect of it. Even though I may have my own TV show on TV this time next year. I mean, I was thinking yesterday when I was filming, am I going to be able to deal with this really? I mean, I better get used to this. I guess for a new artist, it's very, very different. When you're established, I think it's always different because no matter if you never ever have another hit record, if you've had 10 hit records, you're established. And whether you go on to top what you've done in the past, it almost doesn't matter at some point because whenever you go out, people are still going to recognize you. You're still going to get jobs just based on your past history. And records are the icing on the cake. It helps all of that. But once you're established, I guess, I could work if I didn't have a hit record or not. Well, you know what it is? I think I slowed my life down purposely because I felt that if I would continue at that rate, I was headed for a disaster. I always felt that it was. I never felt in control of my career. I felt that at some point, to my detriment, that it was controlling me, and I thought that's what needed to change. And but I didn't. I never was afraid that it would go away or that it would. I was always blessed to have a sense of that if you have talent and you just do what you do, it brings success as a natural result of you doing what you do well. And so I never really. People used to ask me that question all the time, but I'm not. It doesn't make me frightened. Oh, I'm not popular this week, or I am. Well, I didn't. I would not have preferred that either. I would have much more preferred a cleaner image and doing things on my talent as opposed to that way. Um, I don't look back at this point in regret. I mean, I have more in my life than I had. I mean, there are things I would have done differently. As a joke, maybe, but I don't think it's where I live anymore. And I mean, it was that's where I was at. When I did that song, I did it as a spoof on Marilyn Monroe. I mean, really, that's where my head was at. And I just said, well, how would Marilyn Monroe sing this song? And then I just did it as a spoof in my mind. I wasn't being serious. And then they banned it in England when it came out, and that just made it sell more. And it was all new to me. I never thought that record would do anything. I did it as a demo for someone else to do. And I said, we were looking for someone to sing the song, and they had taken my song down to, I think, MEDEM, which is a publishers convention, and a couple of people took that song to other countries, and they put it on the radio in that form. And it was really released before I even had records. So I mean, it wasn't, I had no control over what happened. And when I wasn't, I couldn't, I was like, I had this so negative energy about me that it was just obnoxious. And I was almost impossible to be with. I mean, for other people, almost couldn't be with me. My energy was so overpowering. And I couldn't stand to be with me. So it was a time that I knew I had to change something. Well, not even in the sense of my personality or yelling at people or being crazy, because I mean, I would have fits of anger when things would go wrong. But I was never one to sit and just hurt someone intentionally. I mean, if I didn't have a car when I was arriving at an airport, I could get upset about it, but I think anyone would after flying for 10 hours. Or if my bags were missing at the airport, or, mostly to do with things that weren't done properly, not to do with anybody's personality. Um, but I knew that, and I don't know where that comes from, because probably if you would interview anybody that worked for me personally, they would not tell you that. Because I think that I'm a very considerate of other people, and always have been. I think people like you to have that image. I think they want to know that if you're up there, you're just, the word, you're a wench. You're just mean and inconsiderate of other people. And I've never been inconsiderate of other people. I've always tried to be considerate and concerned with them. So I really don't understand where that comes from. I'm willing to tour with this record, I guess. We'll see what happens with the record. Hopefully, I won't be able to see straight. I'll have so many offers, and I'll want to do that. But I like to perform sometimes. I think I'm ready. I think I've had a year off. I took the year off last year because the year before was very hectic, and yeah, I think I'll tour with this record. No, Las Vegas is very secure for me, and the reason I play Las Vegas, a lot of artists won't play Las Vegas, and a lot of artists can't play Las Vegas. The reason that I've played Las Vegas is that it pays very well and enables you to be in one place and to earn a living, and not to have the stresses of the road. The public is generally not as good as a touring public is, and in that sense there is a compromise. But it gives you a chance to really work out the nicks in your show at the same time. It's like going on Broadway, kind of. And for me, being from California, it's a stone throw away. So it's very convenient for me. And that's one of the reasons why I like to play that type of a venue. Gosh, well, Whitney Houston, she's great. She's fantastic. And what's her name? Taylor Dane. Um, Anita Baker, who I love. It really took me a time to adjust to her voice, because her voice is so low on the low parts. I thought there was a guy singing, and I used to do that at times in the studio. I would sing real low, and the producers would go, "No, you sound like a man. You can't sing that way." And I just love the fact that somebody did it and just did it, and it sounds great. Used every possible area of their voice without restriction. eldest, which is going to be my mother in about a month, she's turning 16, Mimi's 16 now. And she will probably embark on her own singing career in the next 2 years. But she's kind of wanted to wait and just enjoy life because she's seen what it takes to be in this business. And I encourage her, but I don't force her. So she's already recorded a couple of songs, and we're sort of waiting for her okay. She's not ready yet. My advice is my life. I figure, why tell them? Just live it. And they will see, what they see the mistakes you make, and they learn by your mistakes as well as by that what you do correctly. And I don't have all the answers, and she won't have all the answers. And so, I just try to live a good life in front of her and be the best parent that I can be, and she'll learn by that. I get up I get up with my kids about 7:30, and I stay up with them for a half hour. And then I usually go back to bed for an hour or two. I just hang out in bed because I find that when I'm working, I don't get to do that. And I used to get paranoid when I wasn't working. And I found that if I don't rest when I have a rest period, then I'm exhausted when I'm working. So the balance is to just go ahead and rest. I used to feel guilty about it. So when the kids go to school, I rest for about an hour and a half. And then I get up and I have breakfast. I read, meditate, spend some time alone. Then I just, whatever business I have to take care of, I take care of until about 2 or 3 o'clock when my kids come home. And then around 5 or 6 o'clock we have dinner, and they clean up, and then we hang out and watch TV or videos, or we talk, or we dance. We make our own videos, whatever. Believe me, the fast lane is fast when it's fast. It's busy. And they've been on the road with me a lot. And a couple of years ago, I took them with me for a while. And I'm telling you, they really understood when they came home what it was from when mommy goes out of the house. So it's cool now. Well, I asked my daughters about 3 days ago to rate me. Was I an okay mother? Was I good? Was I great? Was I fantastic? And so they started joking and said, well, you're okay. And so one of them leaned over and said, Mommy, I think you're good, you're great, and you're fantastic. And I would rate myself, I think, as a concerned parent, very conscientious about my kids. My family life is first. There is no question. My children always know that I love them, regardless to what I'm doing. And I don't have the kind of guilt that I think that I used to feel, because I think I've struck a balance. I started painting actually it's funny, when I was going to record with the boys in London, I was very uptight about being out of my environment and subjected to a lot of new people. And when you live on a farm, you're just around your own people all the time, and you don't have to deal with other people's personalities. And I was a little bit uptight about it. And so I had to do something to distract myself, and I painted a picture. And everyone that came in the house commented on the picture, and a friend of mine who's an artist said she wanted that picture. And so I decided to continue to just paint because I felt that it had a good effect on me. And I went to London, and I was stranded for 5 days, and I went to the art store and I picked up some more paintings, and I started painting in London. And when I came home, everyone liked those paintings, and so I said, well, maybe I'm going to do this. So I just got this, all of a sudden, passion to paint day and night, and I just started painting. And so in a very short period of time, I painted quite a few pictures. And I paint 2 or 3 at one time. What provokes? I don't paint anything. I just paint what comes out. I have no theme generally. I don't draw a line. I paint with a spackle knife, which is about that wide, and is I don't paint with a brush. It's really abstract. I don't have the time to paint with a brush, or to paint with oil, for example. So I have to do what works, that gives me the feeling of accomplishment when I'm not accomplishing something, because I would start painting before years ago, and with oil paints it took me forever to finish one painting. And now I can paint a great amount and in a short period of time, and I feel really like I've accomplished something. I start off with blank, and I just start putting colors on, and as I see the colors move into a position, I begin to make it a painting. But I don't have a plan when I start generally. 99% of the time, no plan. Well, what it has taught me is that there are secrets in all of us that we don't know about ourselves, and talents that we don't know we have if we would just begin to explore them. But we're so inhibited at times by what others think of us that we're afraid to be laughed at. And when I started painting, I refused to be afraid about what someone else would think about the work. And as a result, I mean, this is 6 months later, less than a year later, I've been accepted to Art Expo in New York, which is not necessarily an easy thing to be into, especially for someone who never thought they would paint in their life. I'm very honored by that, and it shows me that, well, maybe there's a second career happening here somewhere. When I'm too old to sing, I can really just get my little brush out and paint. Well, it's a comedy, and it's a probably a sitcom, and it's really pretty much about my life on the farm, and it's some of it is true to life, and some of it is fictional, and it's about my husband and myself, and about our relationship, and we move into a farm, and we're going to get married the day after we move into the farm, and everybody comes to the house, and it's sort of based on, that's basically what the idea is now. Would be a series, yeah.
Right.
So we're getting ready to do the pilot, and we're writing it and in the process of getting that all together, and. Well, with having this record just coming out now, it's been a tough time trying to coordinate when I will be where, and so that has probably been the inhibiting factor to the whole thing. But hopefully, it will be in the course of the next 6 months that we will get the pilot finished, and it'll be out sometime by either the end of the year, September, or first of next year. Well, I think after I get finished with this TV show, we'll see what the acting career holds. But I think at this point, I am definitely gearing up to do other things in my life. I don't think you can keep traveling around for the rest of your life and singing. I mean, Tina Turner said it very well. I gotta stop this stuff. She said, I can't keep this up.